On February 14, 2025, President Trump sent shockwaves through the global trade system. He announced his intention to impose a 25% tariff on all steel and aluminum imports. This move, set to be officially announced on February 17th, is part of his reciprocal tariff policy. Trump argues that these tariffs are essential to protect American jobs and industries. He believes that other countries are taking advantage of the US with unfair trade practices. These tariffs are widely seen as targeting countries like India. Why India? Because India, like many other nations, has its own set of tariffs on US goods. The Trump administration views these tariffs as a barrier to American exports. They argue that a 25% tariff on Indian steel and aluminum will level the playing field. The announcement has sparked immediate concern around the world. Many fear this is just the beginning of a potential trade war. The last time Trump imposed similar tariffs, in 2018, it triggered retaliatory measures from other countries. This led to increased costs for businesses and consumers alike. The current economic climate is already fragile, and these new tariffs could make things much worse. The world waits with bated breath to see the full impact of Trump's tariff bombshell. One thing is certain, the global trade landscape is in for a bumpy ride. India finds itself squarely in the crosshairs of Trump's new tariff policy. As a significant exporter of steel and aluminum to the US, India is bracing for a potentially devastating blow. In 2024, India exported billions of dollars worth of these metals to the US. These exports support countless jobs and contribute significantly to India's economic growth. The impact of a 25% tariff on these exports could be severe. Indian steel and aluminum will become more expensive in the US market. This makes them less competitive compared to domestically produced metals. American buyers might look elsewhere for cheaper alternatives, hurting Indian exporters. The tariffs could also disrupt existing supply chains. Many American companies rely on Indian steel and aluminum for their manufacturing processes. The sudden price hike could force them to scramble for new suppliers, potentially causing delays and disruptions. This uncertainty is casting a shadow over the Indian economy. The Indian government is closely monitoring the situation. They are exploring options to mitigate the potential damage, including seeking dialogue with the US to find a negotiated solution. However, with Trump's track record of unpredictable trade decisions, the future remains uncertain for Indian businesses and workers in the steel and aluminum sectors. The trade relationship between the US and India is a complex one. While the two nations are strategic partners, their trade dynamics are marked by a significant imbalance. In 2024, the US trade deficit with India reached a staggering $45.7 billion. This means the US imported that much more from India than it exported to them. This trade deficit has been a point of contention for the Trump administration. They argue that it reflects unfair trade practices by India that harm American businesses and workers. The new tariffs on steel and aluminum can be seen as a direct attempt to address this imbalance. However, the situation is not so simple. India also exports a vast array of other goods to the US, many of which are crucial for American consumers and businesses. In 2023 alone, the top 5 import categories from India totaled over $47 billion. These include essential products like pharmaceuticals, electrical equipment, pearls, and semi-precious stones. Imposing tariffs on Indian steel and aluminum might do little to address the overall trade deficit. It could even backfire by raising prices for American consumers on other Indian goods. This could hurt American businesses that rely on these imports and potentially lead to job losses in related industries. The trade imbalance between the US and India is a delicate tightrope walk. Finding a solution that addresses concerns on both sides will require careful negotiation and a willingness to compromise. The alternative, a full-blown trade war, would have disastrous consequences for both countries and the global economy. The potential fallout from Trump's new tariffs extends far beyond the shores of the US and India. The global trade system is intricately interconnected, and any disruption in one part of the world sends ripples throughout the entire network. The immediate impact is already being felt in the financial markets. The announcement of the tariffs has sent shockwaves through global stock markets. Investors are worried about the potential for a trade war and the negative impact it could have on global economic growth. The price of gold, often seen as a safe haven asset during times of uncertainty, has surged to record highs. This reflects the growing anxiety among investors about the future of the global economy. The tariffs have also drawn criticism from international organizations and US allies. The World Trade Organization, WTO, has expressed concern that the tariffs violate international trade rules. Key US trading partners like Canada, Mexico, and the European Union have also voiced their opposition. They argue that the tariffs are unjustified and will ultimately harm everyone involved. The situation remains fluid, and the long-term consequences of Trump's tariffs are difficult to predict with certainty. However, one thing is clear: the global trade landscape is entering a period of heightened uncertainty. The risk of a trade war is very real, and the economic fallout could be severe. The world is watching nervously as the drama unfolds.